How pro mechanics are escaping the dealership trap. The jailbreak method. They discontinued the part. They expected you to roll over. You did not. Last video, we exposed the zero stock trap, the deliberate death of analog parts for trucks that should run forever. The response? Thousands of you proved it is already happening, in your driveway, on your lift, in your town. But buried inside those comments was something the dealerships never wanted you to find, the complete blueprint to making your truck permanently immune to their system. This is the Aftermarket Rebellion, and today we are going all the way. Viewer Adam Stevens, 2005 Silverado diesel. Glow plug controller failed. His mechanic could not find one. Not on a shelf, not online. Gone. Viewer John Smith, 2000 Toyota, 2.8 diesel. The part number does not exist in any computer system anymore. The truck is mechanically perfect. The supply chain killed it on paper. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is corporate parts starvation, and it is actively bricking running trucks across America right now. But here is what they did not count on. When you kill the supply chain, you do not kill the mechanic. You just make him more dangerous. The brain transplant, standalone ECU. Let us start at the top, the engine control module. When the factory engine control module dies, the dealership parts counter will tell you the same thing with the same smile. Sorry, that part's been discontinued. What they are really saying is, walk through that showroom door. Smart mechanics are not replacing the factory engine control module. They are eliminating it entirely. Here is the move. Pull the crusty 20-year-old wiring harness. Unbolt the dead engine control module from the firewall. Drop in a modern, self-tuning, standalone system like a Holley Terminator X or a Halltech unit. Here is why this changes everything permanently. There is no cellular modem. It is not phoning home to a corporate server with your fuel trims. You control the spark curve. You control the fuel map. Sensor fails? Plug your own laptop in, read live data, and order a universal replacement for a fraction of dealership cost. You have just turned a dying original equipment manufacturer dependent truck into a self-sufficient, independently owned machine. Mechanics reality check. Don't skip this. If you pull the factory engine control module, your electronic automatic transmission, for example a 4L60E or a 4R70W, loses its shift controller. It locks in third gear, limp mode, full stop. The blue-collar fix offers two options. Option A, wire in a standalone transmission controller, such as a TCI EZ-TCU or a US shift unit, giving independent shift control, completely decoupled from the factory engine control module. Option B, the permanent solution, swap in a heavy-duty manual transmission like an NV4500, a T56, or a Muncie Rock Crusher. You sever the digital umbilical cord at the transmission tunnel and it never grows back. The ignition bypass. Kill the immobilizer. The Rebellion goes deeper than the engine bay. Physical ignition lock cylinders are being discontinued in favor of hackable, software-dependent push-button fobs. The comment section responded with the old school fix immediately. Viewer Johnny said the ignition key module can be replaced with a simple on-off switch. Technically correct, but here's the trap. Wire a basic toggle into a 1999 Silverado or a late 90s F-150 and the engine cranks, fires, and dies in 2 seconds. Every time. Why? Factory immobilizers, GM's VATS, Ford's PATS. The ECM scans for a specific resistance value in ohms embedded in the microchip inside your factory key. No chip signal, no fuel. Injectors cut. Truck dies. The dealership wins. Here is how master mechanics defeat it permanently. Pull the steering column cover, trace the ignition wires, identify the resistor loop, solder in a fixed resistor, a 10-cent component that exactly matches your factory key's ohm value. The security module sees what it is looking for. Injectors enable. Truck starts. Then wire in marine-grade toggle switches and a push button start on the dash. Clean. Mechanical. Permanent. You just replaced a discontinued, dealer-only lock cylinder with a $5 switch and a dime's worth of copper. The dealership cannot discontinue physics. Climate control bypass. Ditch the $400 module. Same logic applies inside the cabin. Blend door actuators are dying, plastic gears are stripping out, and proprietary factory air conditioning modules are failing. A used replacement on eBay runs from $300 to $400 for a plastic box full of cheap gears that will fail again. Viewer G. Willie nailed it in the comments. The rotary air conditioning switches are just resistors. Install on and off switches and a resistor in line. That is it. That is the mindset of a true owner, not a subscriber. An owner. An air conditioning blower motor is an electric fan running on direct current. Blower speed is controlled by resistance. That is the entire system. Wire a universal rheostat dial directly to the blower motor resistor pack and mount it on the dash. Total cost is under $20. Blows ice cold. Zero software. No firmware updates, ever. It will outlast every touchscreen climate panel in every new truck on the market today. The nuclear option, carburetor swap. Now we get to the final boss. What happens when the wiring harness is dry rotted, the sensors are obsolete, and you will not spend $2,000 on a standalone computer for a truck worth $1,500? You execute the nuclear option. Viewer Slim Jim, 22, said this. Screw all the electrics. Throw a carburetor and distributor on it, and if it is too new for that, gut the whole mess and drop in a small block Chevy from before 1986. That is an engineering decision, and it is completely legal in most states for older vehicles. Here is what most people get wrong. You cannot drop a traditional distributor into an LS or Vortec block. There is no distributor hole. They use individual coil on plug packs. Different architecture entirely, so you have two legitimate paths. Path A, the hybrid build. Keep the block. Run a carburetor on an intake adapter. Wire in an aftermarket ignition box, for example an MSD6AL or a Crane HI6, to fire the coil packs. The carburetor handles fuel. The ignition box handles spark. No engine control module, no sensors, no limp mode, ever. Path B, the Purist build. Pull the modern engine. Drop in a small block Chevy 350 from before 1986, carbureted and distributor ignition, engineered before computers touched a vehicle. It bolts into most GM truck frames with minor modifications. When you do this, you do not just fix the truck. You delete the entire problem class. No mass airflow sensor to fail. No electronic throttle body to stick. No idle air control valve to hunt. And if a carburetor gasket fails in the middle of nowhere, you trace a replacement on the back of a cereal box, cut it with a pocket knife and drive home. You cannot do that with a silicon microchip. The automotive industry made a calculated bet. They bet that if they starved the parts supply long enough, American mechanics would eventually surrender, walk through the showroom door, and accept their new role as digital subscribers rather than physical owners. They calculated wrong. We are not consumers waiting for a catalog. We are engineers, fabricators, and problem solvers who have been building solutions out of nothing since before their marketing department was born. If the dealership will not sell us the part, the aftermarket will engineer a better one. If the engine control module dies, we wire in our own. If the electronics fail completely, we bolt on a carburetor and run. The aftermarket is not a workaround. It is the resistance. What is the most extreme bypass you have done to keep an older vehicle alive? Carburetor swap, custom ignition, full engine pull? Drop it in the comments. Your build is the survival guide for the next person staring at a discontinued part number. If you refuse to be starved out, hit subscribe and join the resistance. Keep your hands on your own wrenches. Support the aftermarket. Own your machine. We'll see you in the next one.